In the dim light of dawn, I arrived at what would be my first solo job as a plumber. The address, scribbled hastily on a piece of paper the day before, led me to a dilapidated house at the edge of town. The wood siding was peeling, windows boarded up, and the front yard was a wild tangle of weeds. I remember thinking it was odd that anyone lived here, let alone that they had functioning plumbing to worry about. Yet the dispatcher assured me this was the place, and the job was simple: fix a leaky pipe. As I approached, the front door creaked open, revealing a figure shrouded in shadows. The homeowner, or so I presumed, was a frail, elderly man whose eyes seemed to dart around nervously. His welcome was as cold as the morning air, a brief nod before he retreated into the shadows of the house, leaving the door ajar for me to follow. The interior was no less unsettling. The air was stale, thick with dust that danced in the slivers of light piercing the boarded windows. The man led me through a maze of rooms cluttered with decaying furniture and old newspapers, all silent save for our footsteps and the occasional drip of water that seemed to echo from the walls. He stopped abruptly in a small room that seemed to serve as a makeshift kitchen, pointing to a pipe beneath the sink. There, he rasped, his voice as brittle as the rest of him. "It won't stop dripping." Kneeling to inspect the pipe, I noticed immediately that there was no water. The taps were dry, the pipes void of the lifeblood of my trade. Confused, I looked up to question the man, but he had vanished as silently as he had appeared. Rising, I called out, hoping my voice would cut through the silence and reach the homeowner. No response. The house seemed to absorb sound, muffling my voice to a whisper. That's when I noticed the footsteps, faint but distinct, pacing above me. The realization hit me hard. There shouldn't have been anyone else here. Panic clawed at my chest as I made my way to the door, only to find it locked. The windows, too, were sealed shut, leaving me trapped in the gloom. My heart raced as I searched for another way out, the footsteps growing louder, closer, as if whatever was making them knew exactly where I was. In my frantic search, I stumbled upon a room that looked like it hadn't been touched in years, covered in a thick layer of dust. In the center, an old rotary phone sat on a table. Desperation overcame reason, and I dialed 911, my hands shaking. The line was dead. The footsteps ceased. Silence enveloped the house once more, a silence so deep it felt like a weight on my chest. I turned, expecting to see the source of my terror, but there was nothing. Just the oppressive emptiness of the house. It was then I realized the windows weren't just boarded. They were covered in thick, black paint from the outside, preventing any light from entering. A chill ran down my spine as the pieces fell into place. This house wasn't abandoned. It was a trap. Using the last ounces of strength and wit, I found a loose board on the floor, prying it open with my tools. Beneath was a small crawl space, barely enough for a person to fit through. It was a long shot, but it was my only chance. I squeezed through, the musty smell of earth filling my lungs as I crawled toward what I hoped was the other side of the house. Emerging from the darkness, I found myself in the backyard, the early morning sun blinding after the darkness of the house. I didn't stop to look back, running as fast as my legs could carry me until I reached the safety of my van, the dilapidated house a haunting silhouette against the rising sun. Driving away, my mind raced with questions. Who was the man who greeted me? What was the purpose of the trap? And most importantly, who were the footsteps belonging to? I reported the incident to the police, giving them the address and describing everything in detail. They listened, their expressions growing increasingly skeptical, but promised to investigate. Days later, I received a call from the detective in charge. The house, he explained, had been vacant for years, the owner having passed away with no next of kin. The call to the plumbing company was a hoax, made from a burner phone that couldn't be traced. The revelation sent shivers down my spine. I had been lured into a trap, but by whom? And why? The house, with its sealed windows and hidden rooms, was designed to hold someone, or something, inside. But there were no signs of recent habitation. No clues as to who had set the trap or for what purpose. The incident at the house remained unsolved, a chilling mystery that haunted my dreams. The police found no evidence of foul play, no traces of whoever had led me into the trap. The footsteps, the locked doors, the painted windows, all of it remained a puzzle with missing pieces. I left the plumbing company soon after, unable to shake the feeling of being watched, of being followed. The fear that house instilled in me was indelible, a constant reminder of the unknown dangers lurking in the shadows.